Hey everyone, this is Josh Fisher from xTuple. I'm the manager of the web services group here at xTuple. And those of you that have been working with xTuple in the past or are familiar with your software or familiar with our software, you're probably well aware that xTuple is focused on kind of the back end of business for a long time. They've built a ERP system that really helps customers manage their business on the back end. Everything that has to do with accounting and inventory and customer relationships and those kinds of things. And at the beginning of this year, we started this web services group, and we're doing slightly different things. We're talking to customers now about the front of their house, how they can present themselves online, how they can build out websites and create user experiences that are appropriate for their customers, how we can build e-commerce sites where they can sell products and then have that data flow into the ERP. So in a sense, a lot of the things that we're talking about with the web services group is kind of new to xTuple, but it's all very fitting and very exciting. And the experiences that we've had with customers have been great so far, and I'm sure they will be in the future. So the things that I'm going to be talking about today are more of those subjective experience type things. And what I really want to focus on is how customers can analyze their customer types, analyze how those customers think, and then create web-based experiences that fit their customers' needs. Just so you know, in the in your go-to meeting box there in the bottom right, you're more than welcome to type out a message if you have a question or if there's a specific topic you'd like me to talk more about. I'm happy to do that. And if you're having any trouble with the webinar, like if you can't see my screen right now for some reason, yeah, just let us know there. Any questions that pop up, I'm more than happy to talk about at the end of the presentation. I'm gonna try really hard to keep the presentation to about 30 minutes so that we have plenty of time for questions and discussion at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive right into it. So first of all, let's talk about what selling is. At the end of the day, selling online is not a whole lot different than selling in a brick and mortar shop. We're kind of in a weird transition generation where a lot of the people in this generation saw the transition of everything bought had to be in person. Maybe you bought from catalogs, but for the most part, every experience you had was in a store, talking to a salesperson or going to a retail store and buying something. And we're making this transition into having this web-based shopping experience, which needs to be similar to the in-person shopping experience, but really the web-based experience is kind of its own new media. And what I've seen happen over the last 10 years as this transition has happened, you have a lot of folks that want to maintain that in-person experience and kind of display that experience on the web, and then you have a new breed of people that are understanding the web as a new media, and they're handling it a lot differently. And I think really the solution is to find the middle ground. Some of the most successful web-based stores are finding great ways to offer terrific customer service in a person-to-person like style, but do it on the web. Whether it's by using live chat on their site or shops like Zappos, they'll send you products so you can try them on, and then if you don't like them, you just send them right back. Just like if you were in a store trying on products in the changing room. And there, these high-end fashion shops now where they'll send you a box full of clothes, and a designer will watch you try on the clothes and then give you advice about the outfits. So people are working really hard to try to create that experience for their customers. At the end of the day, though, this all starts with understanding your own business. if you don't have an understanding of your business and the types of customers that you're taking care of, it's going to be really difficult for you to create a web-based environment that speaks to those folks. And really what I'm talking about is psychology. There's different types of people in the world, and your customers are going to fall into different types of groups. And you really have to get your head wrapped around what type of person you're selling to. It's really not a whole lot different than, you know, what Zig Ziglar would tell you about how to grasp the attention of your buyer and, you know, the psychology of selling. The biggest difference is you're doing it with a website instead of doing it with a salesperson. So we're going to talk a little bit about different types of customers, and I'll show you a few examples of websites that communicate to those different personality types. But you know, this is where it kind of differs from, you know, xTuple's old ERP conversations about accounting and inventory, where things are kind of black and white and you have to do things a very specific way. The kind of work that we do in the Web Services Group is very subjective. You know, really all this comes down to is psychology and understanding how people think and understanding how to create an experience that a person will appreciate and will, you know, hopefully push them to a conversion. So at the end of the day, your business is an experience, and it's really important that you understand what kind of experience your customers are having. So if we think about real retail shops, in reality, people were doing the same things with their retail shops. Like here we have, you know, a modern, very sleek shoe store. We have a, you know, hardware store or a construction store. You're down in the bottom left-hand corner, and then a really nice looking furniture store. What the owners of these stores are doing is they're getting inside the head of their customer, and they're understanding what can we do to create an environment that's going to make our buyer comfortable. What can we do to get inside their head and present them with an experience that's going to make them want to buy. And these are great examples of in-person stores that are, you know, completing that task. You know, the modern, sleek shoe store, it just feels really sexy and really alive. It's very sleek. And, you know, I can imagine my wife walking in there and going nuts and, you know, spending hours trying on shoes. And really that experience goes along with the process of selling an object. The hardware store, which definitely appeals to me, you know, what these guys are doing is they're just presenting 100% of the objects. It's almost overwhelming the number of tools that exist there. But inside a guy's head, you know, it's just going through our minds what we can do with all these tools. You present us with all these different objects, and I'm just imagining everything that I can do with all these things. So there's two opposing, I shouldn't say opposing, but two different types of personalities and two examples of retail shops that are creating different experiences that are both totally appropriate, but appropriate for the type of buyer. Same thing with the toy store. I mean, actually that looks like a lot of fun for me, but you know, I'm sure kids just have a blast in that kind of environment. In the furniture shop, it feels very cozy. It feels very home-like. And what we need to think about is how do we take that kind of experience and we replicate it on the web. Another very important aspect of this is you have to understand, is your company a B2B? Is it a business-to-business company? Or is it a business-to-consumer company? And you have to make sure that if you're a B2B company, that your customer feels like you're a B2B company. You know, even companies that sell to other businesses, sometimes the customer wants that consumer experience. And to give you an example, so when I think of a B2B company, you know, one of our clients, they sell ink and toner for large offices. And at the end of the day, that buyer, you know, from their website, they just want to go, they want to buy a bunch of ink and toner for their printers. They want to make sure that the order is accurate. They want to make sure that they see all the products that are possible. They want everything to be fluid and fast. And you know, you're not really creating an experience that touches their emotion. What you're doing is you're creating experiences very intuitive, straightforward, and gets the job done quick. That's not always the case with B2B. You know, sometimes even a business is going to want to feel the product being sold to them. You know, if an office or if a company is opening a new office and they're, you know, looking at different interior design styles or office furniture, that user is going to want to know what it feels like to work in that environment. You know, you can look at dozens of chairs online, you know, just a grid of pictures, but really the person wants to know what it's going to be like to sit in that chair day in and day out. They're going to want to know what it's like to have a big walnut desk versus, you know, a throw-together desk from IKEA. The feeling there is very important. So it's important for you guys as business owners to think about what experience your customer wants. And once you nail that down, how do you create that experience for them? The other thing to point out too is there's different kinds of people in the world. There are the Renoir, Monet, and Da Vinci types. These are people that like things to be presented to them in a way that they clearly understand them. It's straightforward. Everything here is just obvious, right? And then you have your Clifford Still, your Andy Warhol, and your Pollock type personalities. These are people that are a little more imaginative. You know, they like to discover things on their own. They feel a little more adventurous. At the end of the day, your buyers are very similar in the sense that there are going to be people that want to be fed the information immediately, make it very fast and intuitive. And then you're also going to want people that want to have that, you know, experience. They want to take things a little bit slower. They want to think about their buying process instead of just getting it done. And these same styles can easily be reflected on the web. If we juxtapose these two websites, at the end of the day, these two websites are e-commerce sites. Their objective is to sell products. The website that's on the left, this McCasker call, they sell. They have a large inventory of products that can be used to build other things. That's the best way to explain it. You know, they have like car parts or parts for fixing buildings. It's industrial type products. The shop that's on the right, this is you're not seeing it wrong. That's a $75 pencil. It's kind of tricky. It's actually a stylus for an iPad, but it's a very advanced piece of technology that allows you to write right on your iPad, and the mechanics there will understand the pressure. It's made for artists. It's something that's, you know, kind of advanced technology, and you can tell that the way the web designer is trying to talk to the user is very different than what McCaster's doing. You know, they want the pencil folks. They want the user to feel very advanced. Everything about this site says modern. This is really cutting edge. The McCaster site, they want you to get it done. They want to make things as fast and easy, and as, you know, they want you to get to the shopping cart as quick as possible. So let's take a second and we'll look at these two sites so I can talk about this a little bit more in depth. So here we have the McCaster site, and let me make my screen a little bit bigger. Like I mentioned before, this is just a massive inventory of products, and as the user, you come onto the site and you on your own narrow down exactly what you're looking for. Like I know I need nuts. Here are, you know, probably 35 different types of nuts. I know I need a lock nut. And what we're doing is we're filtering down to the dozens of types of lock nuts. And you just keep going and going and going until you find exactly what you need, and then you put in your quantity and you make your order. I don't even think of this as an e-commerce site as much as it's a web-based application. this is a very powerful tool for the customer and also for the company, the McCaster car, because they can use it to find their own products, find information, and share that with their customers. Now, imagine the amount of research that your customers could do with a tool like this. All those phone calls these guys used to get asking about the different nylon insert heavy hex locks nuts, things like that. All of a sudden now a person has a tool that they can log on to in the middle of the night and figure out these things on their own. McCaster Car is doing a great job of developing an experience that fits their client type. They know who is coming to the site and buying products, and they're developing an experience that fits that customer's needs. This is not a pretty site. I don't look at this and think, oh, this is glamorous or this is sexy. The pencil site is. This is just a really beautiful, sleek, modern website. They do a lot of great little tricks, use a lot of great little icons that you're starting to see pop up on very sleek, modern sites. If we go back to the home page, you notice that they have video running in the background. You have this cool, in some of the other pages, they have this cool parallaxing that happens. See these objects moving in the background? All right. If someone sat down with McCaster and said, this is what we need to do with your lug nuts, it'd probably be the last conversation they ever have. Because this style is totally not appropriate for the type of customer that McCaster is looking at. This is made for someone that wants technology that they can play with, or an artist that wants some technology to make their ability to create on new media possible. It's a totally different type of user. So that's just two examples, and obviously there are very extreme examples. Another thing to think about, I've been talking a lot about the customer, but another important aspect is to think about the owners of the website. See, a site like this is absolutely beautiful, it's a great experience, but think about the business managers and the marketing team that has to manage this site. It's very important that your site is built in a way that it makes it extremely easy for your marketing director to update information, replace images, update small teasers like this, update links, things like that. And that's one of the things that we do with every product or every site that we build. We build everything in this system called Drupal. That's a whole other day's discussion, but at the end of the day, we make it possible for our customers to manage every aspect of their site, whether it's updating pictures or updating content, adding blog articles, uploading videos, and things like that. It's all very easy for them to do. And it's very important because, once again, you're talking about a user's experience. If you have a marketing director that finds it impossible to add blog articles to the website, it's not ever going to get done. And if you are willing to accept that poor user experience, then that's to say you're willing to accept the fact that marketing initiative is going to fail. Another type of user to think about are your representatives. A lot of the folks in the distribution market, they have reps that are out on the road talking to customers, and they're selling on your behalf. And if you can create a web-based experience that makes their job easier, the expectation is that they'll hopefully be more successful for you down the road. We built this nice tool. Again, this is our demo site. And we built this nice tool that allows a rep to log in. I'm logged in right now as representative. And they can purchase on behalf of their customers. So the e-commerce experience is totally the same. But if, myself, Josh Fisher, I log in and I want to buy something on behalf of one of my customers, I just put in their information. I choose where this information or where these products are going to be shipped to. I tell it which warehouse everything's going to. Give it a date. They're expecting these products, probably a little bit longer than that, and say October 16th. We're going to click Save. And then as you navigate through the site, you start picking up these products and adding them to your cart. What you're doing is you're actually purchasing on behalf of this customer. As a rep, that's a very powerful tool, especially when this is all something that can be done on an iPad. All of a sudden, they're not logging into xTuple and putting in sales orders the old-fashioned way. They can do it very easily from the website. As long as they have internet access, they're golden. So again, that's another user experience. It's another person that's touching the site and interacting with it, and what we're doing is thinking about making sure their experience is optimal. So let's go back to the presentation. Whenever I talk about website design, one of the analogies that I use is wayfinding. Wayfinding is something you talk about in transportation engineering groups and city planning. And wayfinding is incredibly important. If you've ever been to Europe, you'll know that some of those towns in Germany and Austria do not do such a great job when it comes to wayfinding. And it's easy to get lost, right? And some smart people I think it started in the States, realized that if you decorate your town with beautiful wayfinding devices, all of a sudden visitors just feel like your town's more approachable. It's easier to get where they want to go to. I mean, it's brilliant, really. And at the same time, this experience is it's completely abstract. Like this same concept can be applied to so many different things. So you want to think about whenever you're working on your site. If we go back to that McCaster site, or even the Pencil site, the wayfinding here, it has to be obvious and intuitive. When the first time I came onto this site, no one told me anything about it, but I immediately knew what I was supposed to do in order to buy something. It was obvious to me that if I started clicking on these buttons, I start seeing more categories and I can narrow down. This is what I mean by wayfinding. All these pictures and the way that the user is being guided through the site just makes it super easy and intuitive. That's really something that happens subconsciously. I'm sure that everyone on the webinar has been to sites in the past where you just get really aggravated with the user experience. Maybe you're clicking on buttons that don't work, or you have a hard time finding the Contact Us page so you can get a phone number to make a phone call. It's really irritating to users whenever you don't make things obvious. It's such a simple thing to do, and really, at the end of the day, all you have to do is put yourself in the shoes of your customer and think about the fact that they know maybe very little about you, and you want to help them become a customer. In order to do that, you just have to put these wayfinding details in place to make it easy for them. With these calls to action, a site like this, it's very easy to get around and learn more about this object. Something like a $75 pencil, you better be ready to explain yourself. And these guys just do a great job of creating an experience that educates the user. Okay, so if we take that wayfinding concept, obviously that applies to your site. You want to use calls to action, you want to use sidebar banners, you want to use internal promos to kind of help guide your user to the locations that you want them to go, or the locations that they want to find. And here's what I mean by the locations that you want them to go. It's a very powerful, I guess the web's a very powerful device because of the fact that it opens up all these new doors in the world of marketing and sales. The web today gives us this opportunity to, number one, learn so much about customers that are interested in us. We can just ask information on the web and we'll get it. It's a lot easier than in the past, if, building up personal relationships and learning about people that walk into your store or walk into your warehouse is it's nice face to face, but the number of users that you can build a relationship with are minimum compared to how many people you can build relationships with on the web. And there are devices for doing this. So we're talking about wayfinding and basically guiding people to your site and then guiding them around your site and getting them to an endpoint where we want to make a conversion. We want the user to give us a little bit of information about themselves so that we can start building up that relationship. And to do that, there's actually a strategy for pulling this off. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit. And the wayfinding, my point here is that the wayfinding starts outside of your website. People talk about the importance of social media for businesses, the importance of blogs, the importance of search engine optimization, and things like press releases and email marketing. A lot of businesses that I talk to, they're like, oh, my customers aren't on Facebook or they're not on Twitter, and that could be totally true. But your customers are somewhere, and they may not be on Facebook researching your business, but there's a lot of people on Facebook, and Facebook does a great job of understanding who people are, what they're involved in, and then they advertise to the appropriate people. So the first step is to think about where your customers are and how you can communicate to them. And you want to place these little devices to drive people to landing pages on your site. And those devices could be posts on Facebook, it could be through email marketing, blogs that are heavy with keywords. They will increase your search engine optimization. So what you're doing, you're just planting all these seeds everywhere that are going to be portals to get people to your landing pages. It's very important that with all these devices that you're using, you drive people to landing pages that are unique. You don't want to just drive everybody to your homepage. You want to drive people to landing pages that are unique. Again, think about your customer type. Think about where they're located and where you're finding them. And then push them to landing pages that talk directly to them. If you're trying to create universal content that's supposed to talk to everybody, you're going to lose some people. So why not, take a couple steps further and think about what kind of person you're trying to grasp, and then feed them information that they're going to respond to. Okay, so we want to have unique landing pages. You should, and the other thing I should mention too, you should have a website that allows you to do this. I'm not, if you don't, I'm sorry for you. You should call us and we'll talk to you about it. But doing things like creating landing pages, this day and age, that should be something that can be handled in a matter of minutes on your website. You should be able to just create a new page, drop some content in, save, and then put out these links. If you have to call a developer to help you with this, then you're in a situation where you can't be pushing your marketing to the fullest potential, and we're happy to have a conversation with you about that. Okay, so we want to use all these devices, push people to unique landing pages. That's really important, because what we can do is we can go back and look at the Google Analytics and we can see what's working. If you have these 6 unique landing pages, you're able to look at the analytics and see how many of these landing pages are actually getting hit. Which ones are getting hit more often? How many people are actually coming from email marketing versus Facebook? You're gaining information that can then be used to continue making your marketing efforts better. Okay? When you get the people to the landing page, then you want to offer them something. And there's lots of different things you can offer. You could offer marketing materials. You could offer what are called white papers. A white paper is just a 10-page PDF that's full of industry information. Sometimes you want people to just sign up for an email newsletter. Maybe you want to offer a discount, but you want to offer something to these people. So start out with the outside devices, get them on the landing page, get them to fill out a form. This is called inbound marketing strategy. And what you're doing is you're getting them to fill out this form so that they can get whatever. Let's say it's a white paper. They fill out the form, they give you their name, their email address, phone number, a little bit of information about them. Click submit. In their email box, they get a download link to get this PDF full of great information. And then your sales guys just got an email with a hot prospect. This is someone that's on your site, reading about your products, and is interested in your industry enough to download a white paper and exchange their personal information for that white paper. So that's somebody you want to jump on the phone with immediately, right? What's great about this is it's all completely measurable. Just like you can look at the Google Analytics and see if Facebook's working better than email marketing or vice versa. In the past, with marketing, nothing was actually measurable. Everything was kind of just subjective, and we think it's doing well, or we posted those ads and all of a sudden we got some business, but there was nothing to actually prove the connection between the two. We now have tools that allow us to measure. So again, you're thinking about your user, you're pushing them to where you want them to go, you're getting them to give you information about themselves, you're offering valuable information back to them, and then they get inside your funnel. And I think this is just a copy page. And you know, the next step to this, let's talk about once the person hits submit. As you can see, there's a conversion that happens, the user gets their cool item, and what we're working to do with customers, with our customers, is we're setting up this connection between their websites and the xTuple CRM. So whenever somebody submits one of these forms online, that information dumps right into the CRM, and then you suddenly have a user account in xTuple about this person that you just learned about and you need to reach out to. Once they're in your CRM and you can manage this list of users, you can use that list for email marketing campaigns. You can set up drip campaigns. You can take the information and try to see if you can find out more about the person on other web devices or tools. Again, the power behind these tools is immense. And we're running out of time now, but I'm more than happy to talk to you more about these things if anybody has questions or wants to reach out. Okay? The last thing I want to leave you with are some resources. This is a handful of books and websites that I am on regularly or am reading regularly. Steve Krug's Don't Make Me Think. That's a terrific book for helping you understand usability and website user experience. At the end of the day, people don't want to be overwhelmed with flashy things. Steve's point in this book is, you know, just create an experience that the user will appreciate, make everything very obvious and straightforward, and by doing that, you'll see growth in your organization. Guy Kawasaki, if you're not familiar with Guy, he's a brilliant leader in San Francisco. Guy was like the first evangelist at Apple. A lot of people have said that he was responsible for helping Apple get from being this, you know, small technology company to being this huge corporation that it is today. It's, you know, Apple is just as much of a brand and a lifestyle as it is a product. And Guy was, you know, responsible for helping you get there. He wrote this book called Enchantment, and it just talks about just that, the act of enchanting your customers. Doing things that really grasp their attention, and the book's really good, and it applies to that B2C mentality. It also applies to the B2B, because at the end of the day, you know, anybody that's buying from you wants to be wowed, whether they're buying lug nuts or they're buying, you know, 4-inch heels. And the last book there, Business Model Generation. This book is more of a tool. It does a great job of asking you questions about your business that force you to think about your business from an outsider's point of view. Business Model Generation, they have their own methodology of breaking down a business into different areas and forcing you to think about what those areas mean to customers and really what your purpose is in the market. Even if you're not using it for the purpose of building out a website, I always recommend that book to business owners, because sometimes, you know, if you're starting a business, it's a great way to get started. If you've been in business for years, it's a great way to remember who you are and what you mean to customers. Two websites that I have here, and I'll show them to you, baymard.com and eCommercefuel.com. Pop over to the web again. Okay, Baymard, this is a site I just found recently that has a lot of analytical and survey data related to users' experiences on the web. For instance, you can go to a research topic like e-commerce search, and they have all these PDFs and documents that are written about what the user experiences have led to, what kind of information large websites are getting from their users about what they want and how the web should work. It's a good idea to kind of be on top of these things and then just make sure that these things are being applied to your website. So like, and I can't find it right now, there's another great list on here where they basically took the top 100 sites of different categories of information. So there's, you know, a category of best e-commerce checkout processes. There's a category of best usability, a category of best mobile experiences. And it's on here somewhere, and I'm sorry I can't find it right now, but dig around on the site a little bit, you'll definitely come up with it. And it's great to use those sites as a go-by whenever you're thinking about your own site. The last thing, eCommerce Fuel. Just discovered this site, I would say about 4 months ago, and I am overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge that is being shared on this site and inside the forum and on the podcast. Basically, this whole eCommerce Fuel site is being run by this e-commerce shop owner. He's like kind of an e-commerce entrepreneur. He lives in Montana, and then he does these podcasts with some of the leading entrepreneurial e-commerce business people in the country. Like, you know, if you guys are familiar with $1 Shave Club, or if you're familiar with Shopify and the products that Shopify creates, he gets these guys on the phone and he just asks them very detailed, specific questions in the podcast. I highly recommend just, you know, what I did is I just downloaded all the podcasts and I started listening to them from the beginning. And not only is a lot of the information inspirational, but they just fill your head with great concepts and great ways of thinking. And this stuff's really priceless. If you enjoy that, you might want to check out their forum. You actually have to be vetted to get into the forum. They do that to make sure that salespeople don't get into the forum and then just try to sell their product to everybody on the forum. But once you get in, and I'm fortunate enough to be inside the forum, all those guys that I was talking about, the heads of Shopify and, you know, the founder of $1 Shave Club and, you know, some of these other heads of large e-commerce shops, they're in the forum and they're just talking. It's like you went to a party in Hollywood and you just start bumping elbows with all these big names that you know. And it's really, it gives you an opportunity to ask these people that have really proven themselves and been successful, you know, how would you handle this, or what do you think about these topics? And obviously the forum is full of these conversations that you can kind of track through. So definitely check that out. Highly recommend it. Plus the blog is really great too, but I'm sure you'll see that. So that's everything that I have for today. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has, and you know, if we don't talk today, feel free to reach out to me via email or just give me a call, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And here's my information. Hold on, I'll pull it back up. There we go. So you can just hit me up at josh@xTuple.com, or you can call, that's the main line, and then my extension is 137, or just email me and we'll set up a time to talk. But Joe, I'll give it back to you, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, guys, I see a question mark next to Tracy. Tracy, did you have a question?
Yes, I did have one regarding this solution is really addressing a marketing automation functionality. So what is the ability for xTuple to integrate with other marketing tools? Some of the HTML, email campaign builders, or web analytics?
Yeah, sure. So right now, let's use like MailChimp as an example.
Sure.
Is MailChimp a good example of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Constant Contact, MailChimp, there's 100 of them out there, but yeah.
Yeah. So what we're doing now is when we build out these e-commerce sites for clients, we're using Drupal to build out the sites. Drupal is this great content management system.
Sure.
And we'll connect Drupal to the MailChimp system through that API.
Okay.
So you have information, if a customer comes on and they're managing their subscription or they're signing up for a subscription, Drupal is then going to send that information to MailChimp. And then at the same time, Drupal is going to send information to the customer's record in the ERP.
Okay.
On our to-do list, eventually we want the ERP to connect to MailChimp on its own. And
Okay.
then you take Drupal out of the picture. But right now we haven't got to that point.
Okay, and that integration is working with Drupal. Are you doing anything with WordPress or any of the other web development tools?
We work solely with Drupal. You know, there's nothing to say that WordPress can't be used. We've been building out the REST API to work great with Drupal, and all the guys that we have on the team, they've been using Drupal for more than 5-6 years. From our experience, WordPress is a great system, and I'm not putting it down, but
Right.
it has limitations. With Drupal, we've never really been asked to do something that we couldn't figure out how to do with Drupal, and
Okay.
that's why we chose it.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any questions at all? You can go ahead and press like to raise your hand or anything like that if you do. Okay, I think that about wraps it up for us, Josh.
Yeah, that sounds good. And like I said before, feel free to reach out to me if you do have any questions. I love talking about this stuff. And hopefully we'll be talking to you guys soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.